and open to greet players like Eddie Collins, Shoeless Joe Jackson, Luke Appling and Monty Stratton, Louis Aparicio and Nellie Fox, Carlton Fisk and Harold Baines. And today, the oldest ballpark in baseball, Comiskey Park in Chicago, plays host to the storied New York Yankees and the Chicago White Sox.
National Broadcasting Company, now in its 6th decade of bringing you baseball's memories. Baseball's milestones. Baseball's majesty. And baseball's magical moments. NBC Sports proudly presents the Major League Baseball Game of the Week. Today from Comiskey Park, it's the New York Yankees versus the Chicago White Sox. The Game of the Week is brought to you by Miller High Life. Miller made the American way since 1855. Buy Ford and your local Ford dealer. Have you driven a Ford lately? Buy Speed Stick Deodorant. The White Stick gives you the edge. Speed Stick Deodorant by Menon. And by Howard Johnson Hotels and Lodges.
A hot day in Chicago with temperatures in the mid-90s. And the New York Yankees come to visit the oldest ballpark in baseball, Comiskey Park. Hi, everybody. I'm Vin Scully, along with Joe Garagiola. An old ballpark, two teams with great history, and it'll be Joe Cowley and Dennis Rasmussen.
And when you mentioned old, the first thing that jumped in my mind was the opposite side, Vin. Young managers. Piniella over here with the Yankees and Fregosi with the White Sox. And in talking to him, it's going to be interesting to watch it if we get a game that will allow us to do that. That is, if Fregosi said when he was managing the Angels, he thought he could manage in the big leagues. Now he knows he can.
Well, he should know, and so does the city of Chicago. They've now won 8 out of 11 under Fregosi. Meanwhile, Lou Piniella has all the pressure in the world. The Yankees are 8 games back of the flying Boston Red Sox, and for the Yankees, a totally different team than the successful team in the 70s. This team hits, but it doesn't have any pitching.
Well, and on the other side, it looks like the White Sox are getting pitching, not much hitting, but we talk 7 games, 8 games back, and everybody's talking Red Sox, this, that, and the other thing, but still a long way to go.
To give you an idea of the Yankees, on their starting rotation right now, all rookies except for Rasmussen, they have 26 lifetime victories. On the disabled list, they have almost 800 wins. We'll get to the starting lineups, and we'll have more coming up right after this.
White Sox manager Jim Fregosi is going to talk about the Yankee lineup. Claudell Washington's leading off, Jim.
Well, Joe, he's a dead fastball hitter. Likes the ball out over the plate. You want to try to make him aware of the inside part of the plate, make him hit breaking stuff.
How about Mattingly?
Mattingly, just don't let him beat you. He's one great hitter. They've got an outstanding lineup.
Easler's the DH. Hassey's hitting 4th, and now comes Dave Winfield.
Winfield's a game buster. He can do a lot of things. Again, you try to make him aware of the inside part of the plate with the fastball. You try to get him out of way where he can't hurt you.
And then Pasqua and Pagliarulo, who beat you with a home run.
Well, Pagliarulo, you know, he's a young man that's got a lot of strength. You want to try to keep the fastball out of the middle of the plate, make him hit breaking stuff.
And then it's Randolph and Zuvella. So one final question. You expect much running from them?
Well, no, they're not going to run a lot. You know, they've got all good, solid hitters, and they're just going to try to beat your brains out, Joe, is what they're going to try to do.
Jim Fregosi of the White Sox. Thank you, Jim.
Thanks, Joe.
Here's the defense in the outfield. Nichols, Cangelosi, Baines. The grass a bit high. Shouldn't be any gappers hit there. Ball, they should be able to charge that ball hard. Tolleson, Guillen at shortstop, and what a magician he is. Remember that one play we had here in our game of the week, Vin? And then Hewlett's at second base, Bobby Bonilla at first base, Joel Skinner behind the plate, and Joe Cowley, big guy. And I'll tell you, from that high mound here at Comiskey Park, he's going to make you feel like you're hitting uphill.
As you look at Cowley's numbers 4 and 3, keep in mind, despite a no decision his last time out, he's won his last 3. Back on the 28th of May against Texas, he struck out the first 7 Rangers to come to the plate, establishing an American League record and a modern-day Major League mark. However, he lasted just 4 2/3 innings and lost the game, despite striking out 10 in the game. The big guy is usually around for a while. He's lasted 6 2/3 innings in all but 3 of his starts. This will be his first ever appearance against his former club. And all you have to do is go back to last year and realize the Yankees started him in game number 161 against Doyle Alexander, and he lost to Toronto 5-1. The Yankees were eliminated. He went 2 1/3 innings.
I think that last picture we just showed you when Cowley had his cap off tells you that the heat probably will be a factor here today.
Yeah, the temperature in the mid-90s. In fact, we've heard some estimates that it will go up to 96. Claudell Washington, it just came from steamy Atlanta, will start it off. Washington playing center field today. It'll be the first time he's played center field since maybe 1978 when he was playing with the White Sox in there. In fact, Claudell still remembers, and not so fondly, about playing here in Comiskey Park, and they draped a banner over the right field stands, and it said, "Washington slept here." 1-1. Well, you want to know a way for an American to start Independence Day weekend? Well, how about a Yankee named Washington hitting a home run against a King? Eric King of the Tigers fouls it away. What a way to start Liberty weekend. Claudell hitting 267. He'll be followed by Don Mattingly and then Mike Easler. Still 2-2.
They really have pulled around on Claudell. Guillen, the shortstop, not only is he pulled near the bag, as you see the defense, he'll be deep almost on the outfield grass. It'll slow that ball down. You're not going to see many balls go shooting through that infield. In front of home plate is just a little bit soft. That'll slow it down. The firm spots are at second and short.
Claudell Washington exchanging a little conversation with Mike Riley. Now he's back into the plate. Big off-speed pitch, and the count goes to 3-2. Washington, as Jim Fregosi studies his lineup cards, Washington is one of those rare players to have played for both the Yankees and the Mets, and he's called out on strikes. Claudell becomes the 34th player to play for both the Mets and the Yankees.
He thought it was outside, but too close to take, and Mike Riley booms out a strike. Looked like he sailed that fastball and caught that outside corner.
I tell you always talk about framing. That Joel Skinner really did do a frame job, and he seemed to steal that one on the plate umpire.
He gave him a good look is what he did.
The Yankees are not very happy with Mike Riley anyway. He was the first base umpire last night on the ball that Cangelosi hit, and when the fan fell out of the stands, Washington and the Yankees felt it was a ground rule double. However, Mike Riley said no, the fan didn't interfere, didn't make the ball veer or anything else. He allowed Cangelosi a triple, and he scored on a fly ball, and the White Sox won. So they might be bickering at Mike Riley all day. 0-2, the count to a great hitter, Don Mattingly. Didn't look great there.
He double pumped him and then took something off the fastball, almost like he set him up for the fastball, and changed speeds, and Mattingly was way out in front. Good pitching is keeping that hitter off stride, and he certainly did that as he swung under that ball.
So Cowley starts off with Mattingly hanging his head, Washington muttering to himself, and Joe has 2 Ks as he looks in at Mike Easler. Mike Easler has been hot. He's hit in 17 of his last 18 games. 4-1. He went 2 for 4 last night. Earlier, he had an 11-game hitting streak. And he has done well in past battles with Cowley. Not swinging at that kind of a pitch. 1-1.
Interesting delivery, Vin, and that he sidearmed him. I mean, a left-hand batter is rare for the right-hand pitcher to come sidearm, but He threw a sidearmer, fastball, it sunk.
Well, they say that Cowley is, let's say, not exactly your everyday, regular, orthodox pitcher. Off speed, 2-1. He's a deputy sheriff in the offseason, and the Yankees are still laughing about the White Sox saying he's a leader.
Yeah, they were really bench jogging. Here's the motion of the big guy. Nothing's going to scare him, I'll tell you that.
Fouled right into the Yankee dugout. So Isla shakes up his teammates, and the count stays 2 balls and 2 strikes. The oldest ballpark in the majors, Comiskey Park, 347 down the lines, falling away to 382, 409 in deepest right center and left center. Off speed, ground ball to first. Bobby Bonilla has it, feeding Cowley coming over. So the Yankees are gone in order, and at the end of half an inning, the Yankees nothing, and the White Sox coming up. The White Sox go this way offensively. John Cangelosi opening up in center field, and Ozzie Guillen at short. Harold Baines in right field, and Ron Kittle the DH. Bobby Bonilla at first, Tim Hewlett at second, Reed Nichols is in left field, Wayne Tolleson the third baseman, and Joel Skinner behind the plate.
Defensively, Pasqua, Washington, as you heard Ben just a moment ago, in center field. Winfield is in right field. Tough third baseman, Pagliarulo. Zuvello came over from the Atlanta Braves as the shortstop. Willie Randolph, co-captain. Don Mattingly at first base. Behind the plate, it's Ron Hasse, and Rasmussen is the pitcher.
I'll tell you one thing, when you have these two pitchers, you could play jump ball, the skins against the shirts. Joe Cowley is 6'5", and Dennis Rasmussen is 6'7", and they have each won 3 straight. Rasmussen might have beaten the Sox earlier this year. He left after 6 innings leading 6-2, but the game got away on the bullpen. And look what Chet Lemon says, and I'm sure that's right. Standing on a 10-inch mound, he must look like a colossus at least. And how about his leadoff hitter? The leadoff hitter looks like something that fell out of his pocket. John Cangelosi is 5 feet 8 inches tall. You talk about David and Goliath, here it is.
They shorten up looking for a bunt, but he won't bunt much from the right side.
0-1. Cangelosi had the fly ball ruled a triple last night and scored on the fly ball by Ozzie Guillen to give the Sox a 2-1 win. 2-0.
The thing that Fregosi wants Cangelosi to do is to work the pitcher, make him throw a lot of pitches. 4 times at bat, he's going to want at least 20 pitches.
That's in there. He's the smallest player in the American League at 5'8". Rafael Belliard of the Pittsburgh Pirates is 5'6". So he would be the smallest player, to my knowledge, in the big leagues. Belliard at 5'6" is only 152 pounds, I think, if I remember. While Cangelosi, 5'8", 150, and he was born in Brooklyn, this kid, leading off for Chicago.
He's got a fan club up here from Hialeah. He lives in Florida now. They were all here.
2-2. Ball 3.
He's the perfect example, Ben, of the little guy having to prove that he can do it. Baseball, they go for the big guy, and the example I use, the little guy hits 4 or 5 out, they'll say, I'd like to see him do it again. The big guy pops it up and says, boy, if he could have hit it, it'd go in a mile.
3-2. Fouled away, and that shakes up Ron Hasse behind the plate. He got a lick on that one. Great way to start the day in 90-degree temperatures.
It's not so bad when you get hit on the mass flush like that. I mean, there are things you'd rather do. I mean, it's like taking off tight shoes. It feels good when it stops, but when you hit straight like that, it's not like it hits in the Adam's apple or in the leg or on the big toe.
What do they say? The Irish say, well, it's better than a poke in the eye with a sharp stick. And a fly ball to left, and Don Pasqua along with Claudel. And it's Claudel Washington looking every bit the center fielder, making the play. Before the game, his first reaction to the question, when did you last play center field? He said, wow, I don't know. Then he kind of shrugged and said, maybe around 78.
There you see him. And for Cangelosi, it's a long out, and you say, gee, just a couple more feet. But that's the kind of a time at bat that Fregosi really doesn't want, because that's what he has, warning track power.
We should mention that John does have 1 home run. He hit it right-handed. Here's Ozzie Guillen. Takes a strike. Ozzie hitting .245. with 2 home runs, 31 RBIs. Chopper that's foul down the line.
You can really see, Vin, why they're high on Cangelosi and Guillen. 1-2. If those two guys get in sync, they're going to make things happen.
Little men who can make big contributions. For the White Sox, they begin the day 7 games behind Texas. The Yankees begin 8 games back of the Red Sox. Breaking ball away, 1-2. We're also pretty much at the halfway mark as far as the schedule is concerned. Each team has now played 2 of 4 series against every other team in the American League. And what now happens, the Yankees are playing their 2nd game of 30 consecutive games against Western Division teams. The White Sox are playing their 2nd game of 43 straight against Eastern teams. And that's hit in the gap in right center. Washington over to cut it off, and Guillen's going to test his arm. He is in there.
He really went into second base hard. He may have jammed his right shoulder. You see him flexing it. Now Washington comes up with the ball cleanly. No, he didn't. He bobbled it. Guillen kind of hesitated between first and second, which indicated like he was really testing him.
See where he is.
He really hits it hard. Watch him slide, man.
Yep. One problem, and I don't say Mattingly interfered with him, but he had to run around the Yankee first baseman, and that made it a closer play at second than he originally thought when he decided to go for 2. Well, he's made it, and now Harold Baines trying to pick him up. Ball 1.
You gotta like Guillen. Before the game, he said, "My mother and father watching the game in Venezuela. I'll have a good game."
I bet he will too.
And he's got a good start.
1 ball and no strikes to Baines, who has hit in 10 of his last 11, and he's hitting .305. Baines, a remarkable player. In 75 games in which he's played, he has hit safely in 54 of them. I mean, he really contributes. After a slow April where he hit .250, he hit .330 in May, .324 in June. 2-1. Harold Baines. His last 4 home runs have come in the 9th inning. But as you can see, he's hungry for RBIs. Last time he picked up an RBI was the 25th of June.
He looked between his legs to find his shortstop.
Where are you, Oz? The Rasmussen, with a runner at second and 1 out, is behind 3-1 to Harold Baines, and Ron Kittle is on deck, and Kittle gives the Yankees a bad time. 3-1. Fastball hit down the left field line and slicing. Pasqua coming in the corner to make the catch, and Guillen, watching, has to hurry back. They doubled him. Show a replay in Venezuela.
I'm surprised he didn't go back sliding, because Pasqua had to make a long throw. He's running away from the base he has to throw to, get his balance. He sees he's got a chance, and Guillen goes in standing up. A mistake.
And an embarrassment on the part of Ozzie Guillen, and at the end of an inning, the Yankees nothing, the White Sox nothing. Here's another look at that Guillen play.
Now, he sees the ball, and he's taking a little stroll. Now, right here, when he sees it's caught, he just kind of starts back until he sees the throw. He should have broken like his shoes were on fire, and he doesn't slide. It's just a bad base running play.
And especially when you have a hitter like Ron Kittle coming up. Kittle, as we mentioned, had been giving the Yankees such a bad time. He was 3 for 3 last night. He has 5 RBIs and wearing out Yankee pitching, so Guillen really let the inning get away. Now it'll be Ron Hassey, Dave Winfield, and Dan Pasqua. Ball 1. The Yankees, talking about letting things get away, have certainly had an opportunity get away. The only way you really can gain in the standings is to play the team you're trying to catch. Now, the Yankees completed a string of 27 straight against the East. But look at that now. They don't play Boston, Baltimore, Detroit, or Toronto again until September. Of course, it'll make for an exciting September. fouled away, and he got it on his foot.
Hasse is deep in that batter's box. He's got that back foot way back there. He drills this sinker right down on the bunions. You know, when I had a hitter like that, Ben, I would always bring up the point to the umpire, even though it was legal. I'd say, is he in the box?
Oh, sure.
And that really upsets him. I mean, you ask it about 2 or 3 times every time at bat, and they finally turn around and really get on you a little bit.
Well, he's right on the line. He's legitimate. At least he's not outside the box. Every now and then you'll see a hitter plant his foot like Hasse, and then just as the pitcher's ready, he turns his foot, and suddenly left or right heel is actually out of the box by plenty, but he's on the line.
He's got the whole foot there.
2-2. Off speed. One thing they do here, the coaching boxes, the coaches' boxes are lined with wood, and then the wood is painted. So it's pretty hard to tear the lines out of the coach's box.
And they're also closer to home plate than in most ballparks, and very rarely does the coach stay in the box.
Never. Neither Zimmer nor Altobelli will be confined. 3-2. Fouled away. Leo DeRocher, in his heyday as manager and coach, would make it a point at the start of every game to completely wipe out the third base coach's box. The only way you could do it here is with an axe.
Nobody uses it. They all sneak up. Look at where Zimmer is right now. He's in back and in front of that box, trying to sneak a look at the catcher.
They're always against the catcher.
Oh.
You don't think you're neurotic or anything about
No,
that, do you?
I'm not.
Okay. Comebacker.
In fact, you are trained early in your career to always make sure the third base coach can't see your sign. You put the glove down. As we watch this comebacker, they'll put the glove down on the left knee, and you always ask your first baseman, if you can see the signs, you tell me, because I may be opening up too wide. Now, if Skinner does it right, he'll lay that catcher's mitt right on his left leg, down below his knee to keep Zimmer from peeking in.
Here's Dave Winfield. For Winfield, it's been a struggle. He's only had 9 hits in his last 61 at-bats.
He leads the league in letting go of that bat. I guess he's the worst since Oliva.
Yeah, Tony Oliva was scary, and Winfield is slowly getting that way. Dave drags up a .225 batting average. Boy, it's tough to hang in there. I don't care how big Winfield is. Cowley coming by way of third base. That's tough. 1-1.
2 big guys, sidearming.
Winfield 3 hits away from 2,000 in his career. Way out in front. He was guessing. He was guessing fastball. I guess when you look at Cowley or Rasmussen, you're always thinking fastball.
Oh, you have to. Now, here he goes into action. I mean, he gets that big body going, everything. He had himself a pretty good cut. Swings like that are good for you, even if you don't hit it. It loosens every bone in your body.
1-2. Breaking ball, missing 2-2. Yeah, that's really some tail off. In fact, you go back to the 14th of June, and he has hit 148 since the middle of June. Cued that off the end of the bat, fielded by Bobby Bonilla to Cowley.
There was a real good example of the grass holding up that ball. That ball just seemed to hit that grass and just stop. There's no way you're going to shoot a ball through there. And Bonilla looks like he's going to take it himself. And Winfield really hustling down the line like he always does, makes it pretty close. He gives you what he's got.
You think about today's game, and you think back to last December. The Yankees traded Ron Hasse and Joe Cowley to the White Sox for Britt Burns, who had won 18 and 2 minor leaguers. Burns, of course, with a bad hip, was useless for the year. Meanwhile, the Sox traded Hasse back to the Yankees. Then, of course, there was a story about Don Baylor going to be traded to the White Sox for Carlton Fisk. High fly ball to right. Harold Baines going back on the track at the wall. Leaps. It is gone.
Can't really say that the wind was a factor. Baines gets back there. He thinks he's got a play. He finds that wall, leaps, times it, but just out of his reach.
For Joe Cowley, he's been hit by a lightning bolt. A great all-out effort by Harold Baines. That's the first home run that Cowley has allowed in his last 6 starts. And there's another drive down the right field line, hooking in the corner, and home run.
They're going to come out and talk to the first base umpire, Drew Coble, but there's a green mark. The fan reached over, but the judgment obviously is that the ball was over that line. Fregosi wants to find out what he saw, and he'll get the explanation right now.
It either hits the top, the green line, or it hits the screen or Powell. And the pole and the screen and the line all constitute a home run, and it hit right at the right angle, right above the 347 sign.
He was
Fregosi's satisfied.
He was right on top of that play. First pitch again. Let's watch it.
Can't see because of the platform jutting out just in that area. I guess we'll call that the forbidding triangle in the corner. But it is 2-0. So Cowley had not given up one, and he gives up 2 back-to-back to Pasqua and Pagliarulo, and here's Willie Randolph. Randolph, always a good judge of the strike zone. 0-1. In fact, just to illustrate, the other night in New York, Thursday, he had a 4-walk game, and he's done that 3 times in his career. He is also struggling with the bat. Randolph was hitting .307 the first week in June, and since that time, he's hitting under 200. 1 ball, 1 strike. Now back. For Yankee historians, that's also the first back-to-back home run scene the Yankees have had this year. Let's go back 1, 2, make it 5 times now that they have had back-to-back home runs this year. 1 and 2. We were talking earlier about that trade. They were talking about Don Baylor for Carlton Fisk. The Sox would not guarantee Baylor 1987. He vetoed the trade. And imagine if that had been made. Would Baylor be leading a different Sox? And would they be talking about his leadership here in Chicago?
They'd be talking about his leadership, but it's a different ballpark for him. He wouldn't have that green monster, although I tell you, that guy, when he hits him, really doesn't make any difference.
No, Grand Canyon. 3 and 2, the count of Willie Randolph. Hitting number 8, Paul Zuvella on deck. Chopper to third. Wayne Tollison is there to get him, and that's the inning. But the inning, back-to-back home runs by Pasqua and Pagliarulo. And at the end of an inning and a half, the Yankees 2 and the White Sox nothing. It might be 95, but Jim Fregosi is not aware of it, not wearing his windbreaker.
He's pretty candid about it. He said, I first started wearing it to hide my beer belly. He said, I got superstitious. So he's wearing it.
He said it's also a convenient place to keep pencils in your scorecard.
Very hot place. Pencils will burn today.
Well, talking about burning, Lou Piniella saw his ball club go from 3.5 back to 8 back, having concluded the East, and he's trying to resuscitate the act now against the West. Piniella resting Ricky Henderson today. Henderson's been struggling. Ball 2, 2-0. The White Sox have struggled considerably, but Kittle has posted much better numbers than that against the Yankees. Kittle against New York is hitting .375 with a half a dozen hits and 5 runs batted in. Now that made Guillen's bad base running play seem even more important in the first inning. Right, 3-1.
interesting as I watch the defense. 3-1, the power hitter. All the infielders are still on the dirt part of the infield.
And that's ball 4 to Ron Kittle.
The reason I say that, Ben, is because when the White Sox go out there, we'll see them. They'll be on the perimeter, even on the outfield grass, which shows you the difference of knowing your ballpark and the way the groundkeeper prepares it for you.
Well, the batter now is Bobby Bonilla with Ron Kittle at first, nobody out in the second inning. 2-0 Yankees. Bonilla, a kid who grew up in the Bronx, of all places, and now trying to haunt the Bombers. He's hitting 7 of his last 10. Strike. In fact, he was not only raised in the Bronx, but close to Yankee Stadium. Bobby Bonilla. 1 ball, 1 strike. Prior to last night, when the White Sox won, the Yankees and the White Sox had played 5 games this year, and the road team won them all. The Yankees swept 3 here, and the Sox had won 2 in New York. High pop fly. First base, Don Mattingly, backed up by Randolph. 1 away. So Mattingly puts that away, and Tim Hewlett coming up. Hewlett hitting .260, as you can see, with 4 home runs. Of course, now they have another third baseman in Steve Lyons. Lyons coming from the Red Sox in the deal that sent Tom Seaver to Boston. Strike. Hewlett followed by the left fielder Reed Nichols. For Hewlett, he could be a little rusty. He hasn't played since Sunday. He hasn't played second base since last Saturday. He's played 25 starts at third and now 32 at second. He's a good man to have around. 0-2 to Timmy. Just for comparison, people always do it. Tony La Russa was fired. The White Sox were in 6th place, 8.5 games back. Fregosi has had him win 8 out of 11, and they're 7 back. To shortstop, Zuvella, to Randolph, to Mattingly, and they get the double play. So 6-4-3 double play. They're gone in order. At the end of 2, it's 2-0 Yankees, and we'll be right back after these messages from your local station. We're going to the 3rd inning here at Comiskey Park in Chicago. Opened up July the 1st, 1910, so she's 76 years old. Paul Zuvella, Claudell Washington, and Don Mattingly in that order. Zuvella out of the Atlanta organization. The rumors were that the Yankees were trying to get Rafael Ramirez. But when they made the deal involving Ken Griffey, they took Paul Zuvella out of the Atlanta farm system. Paul had been playing at Richmond. So Zuvella gets what he has always wanted, a chance to play every day. When you look at the Yankees shortstop position and then think of second baseman Willie Randolph, realize there have been 25 different Yankee shortstops while Randolph was the second baseman. I mean, you go from Santos Alomar to George Zieber, A to Z. High fly ball to left field. Reed Nichols, however, will have a play. Boy, that must be tough. You're a second baseman trying to get a rhythm, and there are 25 different shortstops.
You really need a scorecard to find out who you're playing opposite. There it is, right?
Look at that. Bobby Meacham was sent to the minors. Ivan De Jesus was released. Pagliarulo moved over to play short briefly. He played shortstop last Wednesday. Ball 1.
I can't help but think of the contrast of the defense of the infielders. When you saw the Yankee infielders before, look how deep they are playing. And that's because of the infield grass.
2 balls, no strikes.
They've had a great history of groundskeepers here. Roger Bossert is the groundskeeper here. His dad, he's a 3rd-generation groundskeeper. They can really help a ball club.
2-0, and that's fouled off. Claudel struck out in the first inning. He's 0 for 1.
For example, how can you help a guy like Collie? Well, you soften in front of home plate. You let the grass grow a little high in the infield so they can play a little deeper. If you got a ball club that can bunt, you can help along the lines. Groundskeeper, very important.
2-1 to Washington. That's outside to Claudel. He'll check at third. No swing, says Don Dinkinger. 3 balls and 1 strike. A shot foul right by Joe Altobelli.
That's why he's not in the coach's box right there.
3-2. Washington has been a traveling man. He's played with Oakland, Texas, the White Sox, the Mets. He spent 5 years with Atlanta, and now he becomes the 34th player, I believe, to play with the Mets and the Yankees. And a shot up the middle for a base hit. The Claudel singles will be back. Let's go to New York for an update on some scores.
Thanks, Ben. Marv Albert in New York. In Minneapolis, Gary Gaetti continue the Twins' home run barrage, whacking this grand slam in the first. Gaetti's 18th homer of the season. Minnesota leads Baltimore 5-0. In the second, the Twins love the Homer Dome. Back to Vin and Joe.
Okay, Marv, it's typical, I guess, almost synonymous. You talk about Minnesota, you talk about home runs. You talk about the Yankees, and you have to remember that the 1961 Yankee team holds the record for most home runs, 240, and that's being challenged by the Minnesota Twins. Claudel Washington at first. He's got pretty good speed. They'll have to watch him. Mattingly struck out in the first inning, hitting .339. The Yankees leading Joe Cowley and the White Sox 2-0, but the Yankees full well know that they never have enough runs. To give you an idea, the Yankees have 5 complete games on their staff and 4 of them losers. In fact, if you look at the Yankees, when they score less than 8 runs in a game, would you believe they're 8 games under 500? Hard to believe. That's shocking. So Lou Piniella gets some runs, but boy, has he seen him disappear just like that bubble. 1 minute it's there, next minute, gone. 2-0. And that's a slicing fly ball for Reed Nichols to handle. And the second out, Washington holding at first base. To further illustrate Lou Piniella's problems, the Yankees were playing Minnesota, about whom we were just speaking. And the Yankees were leading 9-2 in the 9th inning. And Piniella said kind of kiddingly to Dave Righetti in the 9th inning, you've got the 9th hitter. Would you believe in that game, Kirby Puckett hit a 3-run home run. Righetti finally had to come in to get the 9th hitter, who happened to be Kent Urbeck. The Yankees held on to win the game. Ball 1. Mike Easler grounded out in the first inning.
Claudel at first base has good speed, but you would think they'd want to keep that hole open between first and second.
Jammed and fouled off to the left out of play. 1-1. You know, there's a great deal of talk naturally about Don Baylor and what a great job he's doing, but don't lose sight of the fact that Mike Easler came into this game hitting .338. He's got a half a dozen home runs, 43 runs batted in. He's having a very big year. And And there goes Claudel. Off-speed pitch is outside to throw much too late. So he picked a good pitch to run on.
He certainly did pick his pitch. He's got the good speed. And that was an off-speed pitch, and Skinner just had an almost impossible task.
It's not that Claudel is going to win any great stolen base records, especially on a team like Rickey Henderson, but he has a pretty good feel for running.
Well, he's going to challenge you.
Look at that. That's a dramatic difference between the leagues. When you think about the National League and the American League, they really do play a totally different game. And I guess there are a couple of reasons. One being the designated hitter. Another being the multi-purpose stadium as opposed to the older and smaller American League ballparks. So the stolen base and the sacrifice bunt play a very big part in the National League and not much in the American League.
Well, in the pregame talk, Fregosi says they won't run much. They'll just beat your brains out, is the expression he used.
Dribbler wide of first base. Bobby Bonilla has trouble. Underhands it safe. Here comes the run to the plate to score. Bonilla had a little trouble, and that might have caused Cowley to get past the bag and miss it.
He double pumped when he was feeding him, and Claudel Washington and Zimmer never hesitated because Cowley just instantly turned and started to argue, and it was too late because Claudel didn't even have to slide. Here it is. Now watch him when he gets the ball. It should be a straight feed, but he double pumped him. And that's when he lost the play, when he looked at the first base umpire.
Cowley thought he hit the bag. Watch with that right foot. And you see the dirt go up. It looks like he did kick it on camera.
Well, you really can't see him touch it. You don't know if he kicked it or dragged it alongside it. And look at Cobold, boy. He's pointing right to it. You missed it.
So Washington scores. It is 3-0 in favor of the Yankees. And there's a drive into deep right field. Back goes Baines. Away back. It's gone.
Say one thing for Hasse, he gave a little bit of Reggie Jackson when he hit that ball. He knew he had touched one off because he just stood at home plate and watched it go into the seats as Fregosi comes out.
Well, the error by Joe Cowley, instead of being the third out, makes it a 3-run inning for the Yankees and maybe the ball game. And if you're the manager, you got to go out there and say, hey, you lost your cool on the play at first, and now you immediately let the play at first affect you, and you make a bad pitch to the next hitter. So it is 5-0 on the play at first base. That reminds us of the game at Fenway Park when Ken Dixon was pitching. Baylor struck out when it appeared as if Dixon had mixed up Rick Dempsey. And then Dewey Evans hit a 3-run home run. The inning should have been over.
I'm sure that what Fregosi was trying to do was to try to get Cowley just to erase it.
Joel McEwen down in the bullpen, the left-hander. The Yankees are really putting holes in the Sox. 9 home runs in 7 games. Interesting, too, to show you about Joe Cowley. He gave up a home run to Pasqua, a home run to Pagliarulo, and a home run to Hasse, all on the first pitch.
If this pitch is a fastball, it's got to be inside. He's got to miss, and if nothing else, move Winfield off the plate. I'm not saying he's throwing at him, but if it's a fastball, it better be inside.
It's a fastball, but it was more down the middle.
Mistake again.
0-1. In fact, maybe Winfield took it because he was expecting something inside.
I'm sure he was. I would have.
Winfield grounded out to Bobby Bonilla, the first baseman. Big, slow jug missing. 1-1. So Cowley is nailed for 3 home runs. But the third one is the killer. On his own error, turns it into a 3-run inning. It's hit foul. Big, slow rainbow kind of occurred. There wasn't much Winfield could do but hit that foul. 1-2 to Dave. Winfield, who's a marvelous athlete, Wednesday made his first career appearance at third base for the Yankees in the 9th inning. He had played a little infield, first base, but moved over to play third. Look at those numbers. Shot up the middle, deflected, and picked up at second by Hewlett, who gets him. Cowley deflected the ball, and it's a 1-4-3 play. Great stop by Hewlett after a slowed down by Joe Cowley, and the out recorded. And at the end of 2.5, the Yankees 5 and the White Sox nothing. In the third inning, Reed Nichols, Wayne Tolleson, and Joel Skinner. Pop fly, back at short, shallow left center. Whoops, little mix-up there. Usually the center fielder is the captain, but Pasqua took that one away from Claudell Washington, who's playing center field for the first time in 8 years. One down.
Center fielder's the captain, but he's going to run you off to play. It looked like neither one of them saying anything. They both thought they could make the play easily.
We mentioned at the start of the game an interesting set of numbers. Take you a minute to digest them so we won't just toss them at you. But we talked about the plight of the Yankees and the fact that they have a rookie rotation outside of Rasmussen. And it is such a young staff that they have a lifetime 26 wins. But look at the pitchers on the disabled list. Almost 800 wins fouled away. And I mean, that's a rather prestigious staff. Tommy John out with the bad foot. Joe Niekro with the thumbnail. Guidry, who has had his problems, unable to win. He lost 7 straight. Montefusco and Burns have been out for quite a while. Foul ball. 0-2.
Joe Niekro wasn't too happy about going on a disabled list. He said, let's be truthful about this. I'm not hurt that bad now.
Well, he was outspoken to say, hey, I'm going on the DL because they made a 2-for-1 deal, and they want to look at Zuvella and Washington, so they put me on the DL. And, of course, the Yankees deny that. 0-2. Curveball, and he went the other way with it. Hit it inside out. That's a nice bit of hitting by Wayne Tolleson.
The slow curveball, he had a big, long time to react, and instead of trying to pull the ball and hit the ground ball to the shortstop, he goes with it. Now watch this big breaking curveball. It's a slow curve. He decides to go to the opposite field. Good piece of hitting.
So Wayne Tolleson gets a base hit, and that'll bring up Joel Skinner.
You talk about the DL. It's become a maneuvering tool. The Dodgers last year had a designated DL in Jay Johnstone.
That's right. The new specialist.
The designated player on the DL.
Joel Skinner certainly was part of the early Chicago White Sox story. Remember? He was going to be the regular catcher, and Carlton Fisk was going to go to left field. It didn't work out. Skinner's only had 3 hits in his last 4 starts, but each of them have driven in runs, including the game winner last Saturday. But he's hitting only 200. White Sox have been a very streaky team. They've had stretches where they went 2-10, 1-10, 1-8, and they lost 5 straight just before La Russa was fired. 1-2. Of course, you can't come to Chicago without remembering it was a year ago, April, when Yogi Berra was fired right here in Chicago.
The man that did it is in the ballpark. George Steinbrenner's up there with Eddie Einhorn.
On the corner with the fastball. So that punches out Joel Skinner.
Here's a pitch. Great spot.
Cangelosi will be the batter as Joel Skinner goes back and thinks about taking a fastball on the corner. Cangelosi flied to center deep in the first inning. 4-1. For the White Sox, it's been a little feast or famine. When they have been good, they've been very, very good. They've swept 5 series. And when they've been bad, they've been very, very bad. They've been swept 7 series. 1-1.
Little guy's putting Fragosi's plan to work. He's taking pitches. It's a sign of maturity when you're not afraid to hit with strikes.
1-1. Wee John takes another strike. 1-2.
He gives his dad a lot of credit. He said, boy, when he sent me to Mexico, he said, I just cried. He's always wanted to be a big leaguer. His dad coaching from Little League on. Came down to Mexico, low spot in his career, pumped him up, and here he is in the big leagues. He was a non-roster player this spring.
A lot of great dreams have come true. It's nice to see them. We know a lot of them never come close. How about Mike Pagliarulo, the third baseman for the Yankees? Pagliarulo from Medford, Mass. Used to go to Fenway, sat there and watched the '75 World Series. Wound up making it not with the Red Sox, but with the Yankees, and then having a big series at Fenway before the folks. You talk about another dream come true.
Yep.
1-2 the count to John Cangelosi. Ground ball to Pagliarulo. Nice play. That thing almost went up his arm and on out into left field, but Pag stayed with it. No runs, 1 hit, a man left. And at the end of 3, it remains the Yankees 5 and the White Sox nothing. I guess when you think about it, anyone who was born on the 4th of July is entitled to make some noise and cause some fireworks. I can think of another man, I believe, who was born on the 4th of July who has certainly made enough noise in sports. Al Davis of the Los Angeles Raiders.
I think George Steinbrenner pads his part as we see Eddie Einhorn, one of the owners, moving in right now.
They're making a deal. They're going to trade the Statue of Liberty for Lake Michigan.
Throw in Lake Erie. A lake to be named later.
In the 4th inning, Dan Pasqua, Mike Pagliarulo, and Willie Randolph.
Wonder if Eddie Einhorn ever got his bag, man.
Coming in from Austin, Texas yesterday. 4-1 to Pasqua, who homered in the 2nd inning. And now with Joel McKeon throwing, give you a chance to give you his numbers, 3-1. McKeon was the only left-hander in the pen. And after throwing behind Joe Cowley, he comes in. That was a very bad 3rd inning emotionally for Cowley as well as everything else. His error making it a 3-run 3rd and breaking the game open. So McKeon, who was a rookie, dropped into the fire here. 2-1.
You know, one of the things that Fragosi talks about is changing his approach is his teaching. He's at Louisville, and he got a great reputation as a teacher. He's the one who made Don Ossie a short man. Credit with Lee Thomas, Todd Worrell a short man. He was working with McKeon before the game today.
Well, he's got young Joel in there with the count 2 balls and 1 strike. Pasqua followed by Pagliarulo and then Randolph. The Yankees are 7 games under 500 against left-handers. It's another reason why Floyd Bannister will pitch tomorrow against the Yankees. Five runs, 4 hits for the Yankees, 3 home runs. No runs, 2 hits for the Sox. High fly ball to left field. Nichols going back, groping for the wall, but he had plenty of room.
That's not a bad move when you're not sure of it, to keep that right hand out there like he did, because the warning track tells you when you step on it, your feet say, hey, I'm close to that wall, but I don't know how close. Now watch him. Once he gets on that warning, look, he's reaching. Now he knows he's on a warning track. He really starts to grope for it. But he's got that ball. He's got the sights right on it all the way. Good play.
The unseen enemy was the wind, which is blowing out, and I mean howling out for the moment. So that ball just kept carrying and carrying on what should have been just a routine fly ball.
It's a swirling wind here. That's why they're always checking foul balls. You just can't give up on them and say it's in the stands.
Boy, you could almost call it the Windy City. 2 balls and no strikes. So speaketh Gary Pettis. To Pagliarulo. Willie Randolph on deck. Strike. We'd like to remind our viewers we'll be selecting the NBC Miller Lite Player of the Game at the conclusion of the ball game. The Yankees sitting on top of a 5-0 lead. 3 of the 5 runs all coming over in the 3rd inning on the error by Joe Cowley. Strike. Joe sitting down in the dugout. Think of what might have been with Fregosi and Doug Rader, his 3rd base coach. All they can do is sit and wonder what will be. 2-2. Ground ball to the right side to Timmy Hewlett. 2 down.
Wondering when you see the wide shot, the way the grass is cut, lines up and down, you see him. It's just for aesthetic purposes. That's one of Roger Bosser's doings. I mean, it means nothing to help the outfielders or infielders. It just looks nice. I tell you, that whole Bossert family, going back to Grandpap, they just dedicated their life to groundskeeping, and it shows.
Considering they laid the cornerstone on St. Patrick's Day, it's nice to see the beautiful green here. Willie Randolph, ball 1.
I'm partial to groundskeepers because I think that they mean so much to a ball club, and yet they get very little credit.
And they mean so little to a catcher.
No, they mean a lot.
Maybe as a hitter.
Oh.
One of those. Well, 2. I mean, what would the grounds crew do to help a catcher except the area in front of home plate?
Make it nice and soft behind home plate. If it's too hard, though, you talk to a good groundskeeper, and he'll make it like your living room.
Easy on the puppies.
Yes, sir, because they're up and down, man. You sound like you're cracking walnuts when you get out of bed.
Fouled away off to the right, out of play. We have 2 down. Top of the 4th inning. The reason he came back, did Skinner, he was hoping that wind might bring the ball back to him because there was no question it was heading for the seats, but it went back.
I was watching Willie Randolph the whole time, and he's still a little bit upset himself as we check the wind because that was the pitch he knew he could drive. In fact, he hit himself in the helmet much like the Three Stooges always do, and you can see the expression on his face saying, that's the kind of pitch I have to hit. When you're hitting, you do hit it. When you're not hitting, you foul it off or take it.
Line drive, sinking and backhanded by Ozzie, and that's that. The Yankees out in order for the 2nd time today, and at the end of 3.5 innings, the Yankees 5, the White Sox nothing.
You've got a lot to live for. Don't let anything stand in your way. Say no to drink.
We go to the bottom of the 4th inning, and the Yankees leading 5-0 on the wings of 3 home runs. But actually, the biggest play involved pitcher Joe Cowley on a feed from Bobby Bonilla, and in the judgment of first base umpire Drew Coble, Cowley missed first base. That allowed Washington to score, and then Hasse followed with a 2-out home run, and instead of it being 2-0, it's 5-0 Yankees. Ozzie Guillen, the shortstop, was hit in 4 straight and doubled in the 1st inning to make it 5, hitting .248. And he lifts one to right center. Washington on his horse, the wind blowing it, backhands it, and almost dropped it. There was a lot of baseball sitting up in the webbing as he got his glove on it, but then he was able to roll it back into the pocket. Nice play, 1 away.
He covers a lot of ground. We've seen Claudel make some great catches. He's got it all the way. He's got it in the sights. Now it's the old ice cream play. Look at that ice cream cone. Right on the edge. But look at the size of that glove, man. Right in the webbing.
It was was a good way in backhanding the ball, and he curled his wrist to roll that ball back into the pocket where he could get a grip on it. That thing is like a shopping basket. Slice foul down the left field line. The wind playing, but it's going to go back in about 8 rows.
That's one of the big changes in equipment is the webbing now. The webbing used to be 2 hunks of leather. Now you can catch a gopher in that thing. It's like a trap.
Look at it.
There's Mattingly at first base. Look at the webbing.
Of course, around the bag at second and short, you want yourself a small glove and no real webbing at all. You want to be able to feel the ball and be able to get it out of there.
Yeah, but Joe Morgan is the only one who used to use a real small glove.
Yep.
That's not a very small glove. I mean, it's not the big gloves that you see in the outfield.
1-1. That's popped up. The wind might make it a little tricky. Mattingly calling. 2 down. Let's check a couple of scores. Red Sox are hurting. Seattle have them down 6-3 in the 7th. Toronto giving the Angels a bad time, 7-2. Cleveland doing the same to Kansas City. Did you see they had 73,000 at Cleveland last night?
Wasn't that great?
Oh, wonderful. Montreal leading Atlanta 5-0 in the 4th. And Minnesota blanking Baltimore 6-0 in the 3rd. And with 2 out, here's Ron Kittle, who walked in the 2nd inning. And I guess for Jim Fregosi and the Sox, they started off on a bad foot. Ejen doubles. And with 2 out, is doubled up on the fly ball, leaving Kittle on deck. And it's been downhill ever since for the Sox. 1-1 to Ron. Boy, he just rung him up. And down goes Kittle, a very easy inning. And left-handed Dennis Rasmussen right on the beam, leading 5-0. We'll be back after these messages from your local station. A 23-year-old left-hander out of Covington, Kentucky, who lives in Hollywood, Florida, Joel McCune, picking up the pieces for Joe Cowley. McCune has pitched very well. He is 3-1. He's in his 26th game. He has saved 1. And this is the earliest he's ever been in a game. Prior to today was the 6th inning. And he came in today in the 4th. So a rookie who is doing very well. He was originally drafted in 1982 in the 1st round by the White Sox. Joel McCune. He'll be pitching to Paul Zuvella, then Claudell Washington and Don Mattingly. Zuvella flied to left in the 3rd inning. 4-1. Zuvella is looking for his first hit as a Yankee. He is 0 for 12. Foul ball. That must be tough. You've been in the minor leagues. You not only come up to the big leagues, but you go to a different league with another ball club. And now you're trying to show your new teammates that you can play up here.
Right. Extra pressure, and you put it on yourself. I mean, they say, you know, be yourself. Sure, it's easy to say. You'd like to look in the yellow pages and look for a place where you can buy some pressure and give it to somebody else.
Right. 1-1. Ground ball just fouled. Just fouled. So Zuvella, with visions of doubles in his head, comes back to the plate.
Then you talk about going to a new team like Zuvella. I couldn't help but think of Randy Reddy. What pressure he's under. His wife having that cardiac arrest. He's got the babies at home, and he's trying to do it with San Diego. And I know all the players are talking about it today. We're really pulling for you, Randy.
And how? Our prayers, our best wishes. And the best thing in the world for him to do is to totally immerse himself in the game. It'll help him in that respect.
And certainly a thanks to his family and his neighbors who are taking care of the babies.
1-2 the count to Paul Zubella. Foul the other way. So he's still up there hacking away. 1-2. The Yankees lost last night 2-1. Their previous 10 losses. You know how many runs they allowed? Well, they averaged in their last 10 defeats prior to last night almost 9 runs allowed per game. They allowed 15, 14, 10 twice. They were really kicked around. But today they're leading 5-0.
You you allow that many runs, that's what you need, a kicker, a field goal kicker to put you back in the game.
Staggering scores. The month of June, the Yankees were involved in games. It's hard to believe the scores. Just in June alone. 18-9, 10-1, 10-9, 15-1, 14-7. Joe McCune trying to get some outs and hoping that his White Sox can come back. He's down 5-0. And a drive to left field. Going back on the ball is Nichols. He's there. So Zavella hit that hard. But he's still looking for that first hit as a Yankee. And he's 0 for 13. New Yankee goes down into the dugout, and another one approaches the plate. Claudell Washington struck out and singled, has handled himself well in center field today, and returns to a former scene of employment, Chicago. 1 ball and no strikes. Washington earlier this year was out for about a month when he was with Atlanta. He had a pinched nerve in his lower back, and it gave him excruciating pains in the neck. Say one thing, he brought his shoulders over here.
I was kidding him. I saw him in the locker room. He didn't have his shirt on. I said, by golly, you don't have hangers attached to you.
Things.
He is. It's like he's like a walking billboard.
He's got the best shoulders around. 1-1. Ball 2. Check swing and a chopper to third, and there's Wayne Tolleson to get him. So he who hesitates and checks up taps out to third, and the batter will be Don Mattingly.
Mattingly is one of those players, Vin, that you talked about, that's on the back line. If he just moved his foot, it'd be out of the batter's box. At least he was the last time at bat, but he's a man of many, many stances.
And you know what's nice about Mattingly? A lot of stances, but it's not just a God-given talent. He really slaves at hitting. They'll check at third. Swing, says Don Denkinger. 0-1 to count.
He works at it all the time. He's constantly with the bat in his hand, and he's got to get that weight back and those hands back.
He'd usually be the first player to the ballpark. On rainy days, he takes extra hitting practice, and he really leaning on that one. A great effort by Cangelosi, and Mattingly is on his way for 3. He's got it. Little John tried to climb the wall and couldn't quite do it.
He was running for all he was worth, and I mean, he banged into that fence. He's all right. He came within an eyelash of just making a sensational catch. He finds that wall, and he says, I've got to get it. Now watch him here. He knew he was going to go into that wall, and I mean, he went in at both feet.
You know, when you look at it in replay like that, he might very well have caught the ball. It didn't land high on the fence, but he had so much to battle. The sun, the wind, and where the wall was. Because actually, I think he could catch that ball.
Had he been standing there, yes, but as you point out, he just had so many things. Once you get on that warning track, you feel that warning track. You know that wall is staring you in the face.
Well, here is Mike Easler now trying to pick him up. Ground ball to Bobby Bonilla, and he'll shovel to McCune, and he just did get the bag. Boy, he was close, and Joel cut that very close at first base. So the Yankees waste the triple by Mattingly at the end of 4.5 innings. Yankees 5, White Sox nothing. Talk about lightning almost striking twice. This was the play involving Joe Cowley.
You see what Bonilla took that ball out, he kind of faked him, and now Cowley's going to argue, and he loses the play at home.
Now here's McCune.
He just barely got that bag, and he had to check with the umpire to say, did I get it almost?
So they're having trouble with the feeds from Bobby Bonilla, the first baseman.
Do you think in spring training they're going to work a little bit on that play?
No. They never do they?
You think they'll work tomorrow on that play?
Maybe after the game. And here's Bonilla, ball 1. Well, that first play involving Joe Cowley gave the Yankees a 3-run third inning. Otherwise, it's a tough 2-0 game. Fouled away. Dennis Rasmussen, the big left-hander at 6'7", is a perfect 3-0 in his 3 starts during the day. And since the middle of June, Yankee starters have only 4 wins, and Dennis has 3 of them. The other one was by Alfonso Pulido. Strike. 1-2. Dennis is 5-1 on the road. Fastball, he jammed him, a little roller down to Randolph, and that's that. 1 away. The Sox have 2 hits off Rasmussen, a first-inning double by Guillen, and a single by Wayne Tollison in the 3rd inning. That's it. Tim Hewlett hit into a double play in the 2nd inning. Hewlett 0 for 1. Yankees 5 runs, 5 hits, and the White Sox no runs, 2 hits. Foul ball.
Garagiola is playing in tight at 3rd. I don't know if Hewlett will be bunting or anybody be bunting, but I'll mortgage the house. If any ball is bunted down the 3rd base line, there is no way possible, if it's on the grass, to roll foul.
One and one. Fouled away, and that got Hasse. That shook him up for the 2nd time. He's taken one right on the mask.
But he has done it well. He's kept looking straight ahead. Now look at his head. He's looking straight ahead.
What do you mean he's done it well?
Well, if you just tilt your head down like he just did there, you get on the side of the coconut, and you're going to have a headache for 2-3 weeks.
I thought you meant he once he got hit, he just kept staring straight ahead, like you were giving points for neatness.
No.
Oh, okay.
No, you don't look forward to that.
No, you know. 2 and 2.
You don't take your hand and beat it with the hammer. What I'm saying is a lot of guys, they'll tilt their head a little bit.
They won't be around too long if they tilt their head a little bit. Hang in there, run. 2 and 2 the count.
He doesn't wear the flap protecting the Adam's apple, though.
No, that was first instituted by Bill Bueller, the Dodger trainer, for Steve Yeager.
Good idea.
Yeah, not bad at all.
But he's got that big mask on, a lot of padding, and that's what you're looking for.
3 and 2. Ball 4. So 1 out pass to Hewlett. And that'll bring up Reed Nichols. For Dennis Rasmussen, only his 2nd walk. Reed Nichols came off the disabled list on June the 27th. And the only action he got at all, he was a pinch runner twice. So he makes a start today. He should be a little rusty. He's 0 for 1 with a fly ball to left field. Ball 1. Wayne Tollison on deck. High foul. Behind the plate, Hasse's not going to quit until he's sure, and it's out of play. Hasse hit a big home run in the 3rd inning. So he's put the slug on the White Sox, who have slugged him twice today. The other night, he got into a jawing contest and tried to go after Kirk Gibson. And then Gibson apologized. Pitch fouled away. And the quote was, Kirk said, well, I brought a family matter to the ballpark. And I guess he was upset, said something to Hasse, who was furious. And then Kirk apologized, and then later on, Hasse beat him the game, and Gibson said, well, you didn't have to beat us just because you were mad at me. 1-2, the count to Reed Nichols. Fastball fouled away.
All Hasse wanted to talk about to me was about the University of Arizona's Jerry Kindle's baseball team. They won the College World Series, the team he played on. I was down in the spring. In fact, it's great to see major leaguers who get these nice contracts not forget the schools of where they went. He had a party for the baseball players this spring, and certainly when they won the College World Series, he's very happy.
That's fouled off. So Nichols hacking away, and the count 1-2. 1 out in the 5th inning. The Yankees 5. They had home runs by Pasqua and Pagliarulo in the 2nd. In the 3rd inning, Washington was at second with 2 out on a ground ball to Bonilla, who fed Cowley, who evidently missed first base. Washington scoring. Cowley upset, and the first pitch to Hasse was hit for a home run, and that was that. And that was that for Reed Nichols. 3 strikeouts for Dennis Rasmussen, who's had as many as 9 in a game this year. It's tough, boy, being on a disabled list, coming off being used twice as a pinch runner, and now starting against a sharp left-hander like Dennis Rasmussen. So Nichols bites the dust, and here's Wayne Tolleson. He singled to right. Remember, he hit that curveball inside out. This time they crowd him with a breaking ball. Ball 1.
It was the same slow curveball that we just saw Reed Nichols take for strike 3.
He's another fellow who hasn't played very much. In fact, since the last week in June, the 21st of June, he'd only made 3 starts. It's a tough enough game to play when you play every day. Hitting .236. Whoop. They're going to check it first. No swing, says Drew Coble.
Here it is. No, he just lost his balance. Good call. We better be good to the umpires. I was visiting before. They said the wives all listen. They said if you say something bad, the message light is on. So they get back to the hotel.
That's a strike. 3-1.
Two of the umpires are expecting fathers, so the mothers are home. He said, "You'll get on us, and we'll have an early birth here."
Now back. Behind every umpire there is a wife, and behind her is a mother-in-law saying you couldn't marry an accountant and have him home nights. 3-2 the count.
That's what Mike Riley said. He said, I said, yeah, I know the wives watch. He said, well, they never see us. That's why they watch.
It's 5-0 Yankees. Runner going, and it's ball 4 to Tolleson. So 2 on, 2 out, and Joel Skinner will be coming up.
Randolph's going to come in, and he's going to jump on Rasmussen just a little bit because that's just bad pitching. You got yourself a 5-run lead. You got guys who are not known to hit the ball out the ballpark, and Skinner does have some pop. He can put it right back in the ballgame with 1 swing.
Rasmussen has balanced his books, 3 walks and 3 strikeouts. The big thing is he's only allowed 2 hits. So 5-0 Yankees, and Joel Skinner with Tolleson at first, Hewlett at second. 2 out. Skinner struck out in the 3rd inning. Fastball hit down to Randolph. See you later. No runs, no hits, 2 left. At the end of 5, it remains 5-0 Yankees. And right now, here's another edition of Baseball Remembered. We're going to the 6th inning. The Yankees leading 5-0. Mike Riley cooling off on a torrid day in Chicago. The temperatures, we understand, are in the mid-90s.
So he got some help from the White Sox trainer. Day like today, you can lose some pounds in a hurry.
Well, talking about heat, it was Monday night. We had alluded to it a few moments ago. Watch Hasse. He's going to go over and challenge Kirk Gibson. He is really stung. And Gibson realized he was wrong, and more important, he was man enough to apologize.
Pretty low-key guy, Hasse. I mean, he's a friendly, easygoing kind of guy. Reins in front, reins in the back kind of guy. Must have said really something to touch the nerve.
Oh, boy. Massey had that big home run. It was a 2-run home run in the 3rd inning. Get back to the box in the 2nd, so 1 for 2, hitting .318. And a great commodity, a left-hand hitting catcher. 4-1.
They traded him so fast, though. He didn't make either media guy.
That's right.
He was between trips when they were at the printers with it.
1-0 to Ron. 2 balls, no strikes. Not only is he doing a great job every day, when they use him as a pinch hitter, he's been remarkable. He's 7 for 10 as a pinch hitter. He's hit in 15 of his last 17 games, hitting around .475, too. Popped it up on the left side. Guillen looking for help, and the wind will bring it to Nichols. 1 away. Watching the Yankees leading here reminds us of an interesting note. Earlier, when they were skirmishing within the Eastern Division, the Yankees, Baltimore, and Boston played each other 19 games. And in 16 of the 19, the visiting team won. Let's talk about the home court advantage. And now here today, after the road team had won all the games in 5, it was snapped last night when the Sox won. The Yankees are back to winning again. The Yankees have been playing super on the road. Yankees are 24 and 15 on the road, and of course they really took gas when they lost 10 straight at Yankee Stadium, setting an all-time Yankee record. Remember, the last time they had a bad streak like that, they were playing in the Polo Grounds. Fly ball to left field, and Reed Nichols is right there. 2 down. That's a half a dozen putouts for Nichols in left field, so they've kept him busy. And Dan Pasqua, who homered and flied to left, coming out. Pasqua, last time up, flied to Nichols. Foul ball off third. Tollison coming over, the wind blowing it, and it's going to drop. Tough play.
It's a tough ballpark. You cannot give up on it. There's certain angles here. There's enough room there. It's tough.
I'd like to bring them to Candlestick Park one night.
Yeah. Well, the thing that they talk about here, Vin, is that it swirls so much. Now, Candlestick, you know, as Burdett says, blowing out or blowing in, Burdett says you could read the papers, it blew by you. At least it was a consistent wind blowing by you. Here, it's a swirling, changing kind of wind.
Well, as far as the Giants are concerned, it's not an ill wind at all. San Francisco, a game and a half in front of Houston in the National League West.
Well, you talked about Cleveland. Isn't it great to see the way the Giants are drawn?
And then signing Steve Carlton, who spoke. Sounds from the Sphinx.
He had a big press conference, and he said you can't make a move like this and not have a press conference, which sounded logical. And then added, we'll see what happens from now on in, which also sounds logical.
2 down in the 6th, 5-0 Yankees.
How'd you like one of the reasons he gave for San Francisco?
He likes it because of the proximity to the Napa wine country.
He's a wine buff.
Two balls, 2 strikes.
I'm sorry, there's 2 things that get me. That would be a thing, you know, I accept it. Or like Tom Seaver and somebody saying, well, he deserves to finish where he wants to. Oh. Because he had a great career. Does that mean us donkeys, we have to play wherever they send us?
I'm touched. Let's hear it for the donkeys. 1, 2, 3. And at the end of 5.5 innings, the Yankees 5 and the White Sox nothing. Tomorrow, NBC Sports World presents the U.S. Gymnastics Championship. Gold medalist Tim Daggett and Scott Johnson competing in the men's all-around competition. Plus, it's the women's individual event finals as future Olympians display their talent. So join NBC's Mary Lou Retton. We'll bring you a look at the rising stars of gymnastics. That's tomorrow. 4:30 Eastern and 2 p.m. on the coast. And reminder, too, tomorrow, big day. Wimbledon 86, the men's singles final. Yvonne Lendl, Boris Becker. Tomorrow, 9 a.m. Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific. And, of course, hats off to Martina Navratilova. She beat Hanna Manlikova.
You got to give Manlikova a lot of credit. She really played well. I'll tell you, she battled her. Martina's just tough.
The battle of the syllables for the females.
I tell you, that'd be a good one tomorrow. That Boris Becker, I heard him in an interview. He says something very interesting. He said, when I go on center court, he says, something happens. My feet, my legs, I'm a different person. And you could just see the adrenaline flowing as he was talking about it. So Lendl and Becker tomorrow.
Meanwhile, John Cangelosi, who tried to climb the center field fence but couldn't quite handle Mattingly's blow in the 5th inning. John 0 for 2 starting off here in the bottom of the 6th. 2-2.
His parents are here. I met him before the game, and you know he wants to do good. In fact, he said his mom gets so nervous, not when she's in person, but watching on television, she won't watch it. She watches the replay, the tape.
Back. John Cangelosi, the little man doing a big job. At 5'8", 150 pounds, he's only 23 years old, born in Brooklyn, New York, and lives in Hialeah, Florida.
You know, you do feel pressure when you have family and friends here. You really do.
You would have to. 2-2.
In fact, I think it was today, Vin, Manlikova said her parents were not there. They were watching on television because last year she made a mistake and they came over to Wimbledon because of the extra pressure.
Well, the little man is aboard. That's the 4th pass given up by Dennis Rasmussen. It also means he has walked 3 of the last 5 batters, and the Yankees figure that that's a distress sign, and they're trying to pep him up. Remember, it's hot. It's around 95 degrees, so your needle can go on empty immediately.
And that's the one thing that Fregosi is impressed on Cangelosi. Make him work. Make him throw at least 20 pitches in 4 times at bat.
It surprised me in the 5th inning. We went right to commercial. He walked 2, did Rasmussen, and Joel Skinner came up and hit the first pitch and grounded out. And I was shocked on a hot day that Skinner would do that. And I can't really blame Skinner because all the brains are sitting right there in the dugout. They could have reminded him.
Well, that's what you'd have to do, remind him. But it's not too many times you assume it. And that's bad.
1 ball and no strikes. Ozzie Guillen, and then you get into the deep water with Harold Baines and Ron Kittle. Popped it in the air behind the plate, and Hasse has a play, and Mattingly calls for it. Mattingly, the easier of the 2. So with 1 down, Cangelosi at first, and the batter is Harold Baines.
Wants to talk to the umpire about something. He was on the top step shouting something on the pop foul. What's happening?
We might have to take another look at the play if we had a camera at home plate, if there was some problem with Guillen and Hasse.
No, Hasse had it, I thought, Vin, all the way. Guillen took that extra swing like he was disgusted, but there was no interference.
Well, Harold Baines now comes up with Cangelosi at first, 1 out in the 6th inning, and the Yankees leading 5-0. We double-checked in the truck, had another look, and there was no indication of any possible reason, to our knowledge, why Piniella would say something to Mike Riley. Fouled off to the left, but they're not going to quit, not with the wind blowing the way that it is, and it winds up 5 or 6 rows back. Harold Baines, in the 1st inning, sliced the ball in the left field corner. That was caught by Pasqua, and Guillen kind of took it easy getting back to second base, and Pasqua fired to Willie Randolph and doubled him up. Then last time up, Baines popped up to Mattingly. 0-2 to Harold. enough power to put you away. He has 10 home runs. He hit 5 of them in a 5-game span way back in April. And usually he doesn't homer after June, as you see Fisher and Holland, Al Holland, the left-hander, in the Yankee bullpen. So for Harold Baines, at 10, he might hang there a while. Got him. Strikeouts and 4 walks for Dennis Rasmussen as we take another look at it.
Target was the outside corner. Baines a long way from that plate, and he really hit the glove. You can see Hasse had it right there, and Baines knew it.
So the big noise for the Sox, who has been muffled thus far, comes up to the plate, and that would be Ron Kittle as Baines goes to the towel. Kittle walked and struck out.
4 strikes, same swing, same spot.
Struck out in the 4th inning on 3 pitches and got the same one starting him off here in the 6th. Yankees 5, White Sox nothing. The Yankees 5 runs, 5 hits, and the Sox just 2 hits. A double by Guillen in the 1st inning and a single by Tolleson in the 3rd. That's it. 1-1. That is the usual area. Fastball up and away, and Kittle has gone after it. This time he watched it outside the strike zone. 1-1. Now back. So he's got him by the neck again. 1-2.
This is a classic example, let's put it that way, of Hasse and his pitcher Rasmussen saying, well, we're going to keep going to the same spot until he proves he can hit it.
You wouldn't come with a breaking ball now just to keep him honest?
No, I would show it to him, but not where he could hit it.
There's the breaking ball, and there goes Kittle.
It wasn't a strike either.
5 strikeouts for Rasmussen. It's 5-0 Yankees, and we'll be back after these messages from your local station.
Join Steve Sizer for your sports tonight.
Lou Piniella, I guess you could write a little paragraph or 2 about what's in a number. Piniella wears number 14. He is technically the 14th manager during the reign of George Steinbrenner. Jim Fregosi, when he came to the White Sox, was hoping to wear number 11. That was his number as a player. But number 11 happened to be worn in Chicago by Luis Aparicio, who was in the Hall of Fame. So number 11 is retired. So Fregosi is wearing number 6 underneath that windbreaker. And the last time number 6 was worn, it was Charlie Lau. And now he's wearing number 16. Nothing much, but just stories behind numbers.
The reason he wanted number 6 was kind of interesting. He said it was for E6. He was his shortstop.
Yeah, right.
But then Charlie Lau had 6. Guys really get attached to numbers.
Oh, sure. What was your number?
Where?
What was your area code? Yeah, you're unlisted. Boy, were you something.
I was the only player with an unlisted number.
He played under an assumed name. 2-0 the count. Garagiola, where's number 13? Now you talk about superstitions or lack of.
Yeah, but he's got the perfect remedy against superstition.
The red ribbon.
That's right. The grandma gave him.
3-0. Strike.
But
you
he's
see him
got to wear it where nobody can see it.
on his jock strap.
That's right.
Or, as they would say, athletic support.
Right.
Or on his Moudans.
Moudon, he got the clean Moudon in case you could have an accident.
High drive into right field. Baines going back. He'll have a play. The Pagliarulo, who had homered in the 2nd inning, this time comes up empty.
Did Irish mothers tell you that, too?
No, I'll tell you what an Irish mother might do. As you were going out the door, she might pick up a shoe and throw it at the door as the door was closing. That was for good luck. Keep the devil off your tail.
She didn't tell you to have clean underwear in case you had an accident?
Oh, yeah. Oh, especially if you had a torn T-shirt. You might be hit by a truck, and they take you to the hospital, and you'd have a torn T-shirt.
You grow up realizing that's how you prevent accidents.
An accident for California. Toronto knocks them off 7-3. The Angels began the day a half a game behind Texas. The Red Sox were trailing and went down the drain to Seattle. So the Yankees have a chance to cut the Red Sox lead to 7. Right. Randolph grounded out, lined out, 0 for 2.
Cangelosi really playing shallow for Randolph. Look how shallow he is.
0-1. Randolph has the same number of home runs as Cangelosi, so they have something in common. 1.
I like center fielders who can play shallow because they can cut that ball dropping in front of them, but you have to have a lot of confidence in your ability to go back on the ball because it's certainly easier to come in.
0-2. I always get a kick. Outfielders must have a nightmare of a ball being hit over his head. And you'll see the bench, a coach wave, come up, and they'll come up one step.
Go back,
keep waving, yeah, and then as soon as they're not looking, they drift right back again.
Right.
Yeah, always. Ground ball hard to third, but staying right with it is Wayne Tolleson to get him. 2 down.
Telling you, you're going to really have to shoot that ball to the infield. That ball was well hit.
Sure was. Beautiful day in Chicago, and we're at the Major League's oldest ballpark, Comiskey Park, opened up July 1st, 1910. Paul Zubella hung on 13, still looking for that first hit. He did hit the ball very hard. His 13th at bat, he hit a bullet, but it was right at Reed Nichols in left field. Way out in front. He's pressing. 0-1 to count. They tell me the shortstop of the future for the Yankees is 21 years old, Mike Soper. S-O-P-E-R.
Great prospect.
Yeah. Ball, 1 strike.
See, what causes you to press is when they put somebody on a disabled list so you can play, so they can look at you, and then they give you a round-trip ticket from Richmond.
Yeah.
That'll get you to thinking.
Don't buy a house.
Don't send out the laundry unless it's overnight.
2 balls and 1 strike, and Mike Riley got a little bit of that. It came down into the dirt and then bounced up and got him.
On a hot day, that's the last thing you want. There it is. Look at the position, though. See, usually they're behind the catcher. I saw in the news the other night the umpire, they didn't name who it was in the Minnesota game, and the catcher got crossed up, just came right at him, hit him right in the middle.
This is only a guess, but it could very well be that American League umpires have become extremely sensitive to what had been a National League criticism. People in the National League always said that the American League umpires worked directly behind the catcher and that you were therefore screened out of the low pitch. And National League umpires always worked inside the hitter. And once that outside chest protector, the big mattress, was discarded, American League umpires are now working inside the hitter.
Well, I tell you, a good umpire is a good umpire. I just wish they could put them under one roof and let's call them Major League umpires instead of American League or National League. Look at that position. He's vulnerable.
Well, Zubella still hacking away. Strikes out, the side retired, 7 in a row for McCune, and now here's another edition of the 7th inning stretch. Well, it's still 5-0 Yankees. Nothing has really happened since Ron Hasse hit that home run and Joe Cowley had to leave. What was your uniform number?
Well, I'm part of a trivia question in St. Louis. My uniform number is retired because it was 17. They found out that Dizzy Dean wore it too, so they retired it. But I started with 17. I was 2 at Pittsburgh, 5 and 7 with the Cubs. I was 56 with the Giants.
Now, little known facts.
That's right. If you got that on your card, you got a bingo.
Boy, that's really thrilling. Let's find out about Dennis Rasmussen's numbers.
That was really exciting,
Yeah,
wasn't it?
wasn't it?
Yeah.
Well, there are probably a lot of people who wanted to know.
Well, when I went to the Giants, they gave me Hal Gregg's shirt, Ebba St. Clair's jacket, and Leo said, don't get hurt, because I don't want to get Westrom in there and have him get hurt.
Rasmussen has been sailing along. The only thing he'd be a little unhappy about, the fact that he's walked more than he would wish. He's walked 4. The question is he big and strong enough to make 138 pitches in this heat? There's ball 1. Again, the temperature is somewhere in the middle 90s, we understand. He's gone 56 starts in the major leagues without a complete game shutout. And he is in the 7th inning today with a 2-hitter under his belt.
He's showing the signs, though. He's falling behind. He's walking people. He's got the 5-run lead, so Pinella's going to go as long as he can with him.
And he's struggling. He walked the leadoff man in the 6th inning. He walked 2 men in the 5th inning. He walked the leadoff man in the 2nd inning. And he is struggling 3-0, the leadoff man in the 7th. And Lou Piniella is not thinking about being the 14th manager now. Strike. Of course, Lou played under 7 different managers, some of them more than once. Foul back, coming after it is Ron Hasse. At the base of the screen, no play. George Steinbrenner, when he and a group bought the Yankees from CBS, he's on the right, Eddie Ihorn on the left, who also worked for CBS as a producer. High pop foul off third. Mike Pagliarulo is there. Good play. So that's righting the ship. Bonilla had to count 3-0 and winds up fouling out. 1 down, and Tim Hewlett, the batter. Cleveland doing a number on Kansas City. Kansas City began today 6 back of Texas, and the White Sox 1 behind them. Cleveland, meanwhile, by winning, the Indians are now, for the moment, 7.5 back of the Red Sox. The Indians have won 7 straight. Hewlett hit into a double play and walked.
Got a 5-run lead, and as a catcher, you simply want strikes. So Hasse will be working, I'm sure, saying what's he going to get, what pitch is he getting over best.
One and one. High pop fly back of first in foul ground. Mattingly with the wind, and he surrenders the play to Randolph. Friends, this telecast is presented by authority of Major League Baseball and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form without the express written consent of Major League Baseball.
It was interesting watching Hasse give the sign like, just throw a fastball and throw a strike. It's hot. We got a 5-run lead. Let's not worry about pitching. Just throw it.
Yeah.
And that's about the message you want to get across. There's no pitching the spots now because you're down in the bottom end of the lineup. What you want to stay away from is a base on balls, a lot of pitches.
You know, he's 6'7", and as we've been pointing out, it's so very hot. The Sox are not a bunting team, but you would wonder, since he has gotten you by the throat with a 2-hitter, if they wouldn't make an effort on this kind of a day when people are really soaking up the Rays, if they wouldn't try to bunt, to move him around a little bit to see if he might not run out of gas.
Not a bad idea.
But they're swinging from the heels.
Did you notice how Hasse gave that sign? We'll do it again with this shot. You can see it. From center field, you can see that hand. Watch him just put it down and get it right back up. He does the same thing. I mean, this is with a lot of feeling.
That's enough. Breaking ball.
Curveball. Fastball sign. He just put his hand right down there.
Line drive over a leaping Pagliarulo and down the line. Turning is Nichols. He'll hold there. That's the first hit for the Sox since Toloson's single back in the 3rd inning. So a 2-out single will bring up Toloson. 5-0 Yankees. The big play back in the 3rd inning. The Yankees scored 3 unearned runs. Joe Cowley evidently missing first base. That allowed a run to score instead of the 3rd out, and Hasse hit a 2-run home run to make it a 3-run inning, and that really has meant the game up to here. For Chicago, all they have to do is remember the famous words of a wonderful old writer here, Jimmy Enright. Jimmy wrote for years in Chicago. He was known throughout the Midwest as a wonderful basketball official, too. And he had a great piece of philosophy that everybody should keep in mind. And there's 3 words. Only suckers beef. To Wayne Toloson. Nichols at first, 2 out in the 7th, 5-0 Yankees. Big piece of paper in front of the mound. Surprised they wouldn't pick that thing up, but with the wind, it's going to bring it.
Waiting to see who's going to get it. Look at this. This is good. The umpire's got to do it.
The good housekeeping seal of approval has been granted to Mr. Mike Riley. Two and two. For the edification and clarification of those in the truck. Only suckers beef, like complain, argue. B-E-E-F. B-E-E-F. Little fly ball to right. Dave Winfield with the shades down. So a base hit and nothing else. A man left, and at the end of a neat 7, the Yankees 5 and the White Sox nothing. The answer to the baseball question, who was that masked stranger? I wonder if he has his black cowboy hat with him.
Boy, I tell you, he has really commanded some press since he's taken over the new job.
Well, talking of taking over a new job, on the mound is right-hander Gene Nelson. Joel McCune, who has been a find for the White Sox, worked 4 innings, his longest outing, did not give up a thing, and struck out a couple. He did very well. He gave up that long triple to Mattingly, but no run. Now Gene Nelson, in his last 8 appearances, he's been struggling. He'll try to right the ship here. The Yankees will send up Claudell Washington, then Mattingly, then Easler. And there's a drive into deep right. Baines going back and watching it hit the facade upstairs. Claudell Washington returns to Comiskey Park.
Didn't get a chance, but I was going to remind that Jim Fregosi, in giving the lineup, said he's a dead fastball hitter. And first ball hitter, and there it was, and you saw what he did with it.
His second home run as a Yankee, the other against Eric King of Detroit the other night, Thursday. Take another look.
You can see he said, well, he's going to try to get ahead of me, and no way he's going to get ahead of me. Fastball, he went to work on it, and he hit it a long way.
Well, Claudell getting some high fives as Mattingly fouls it away. 0-1. Nelson now burned by Claudell. Washington with a single and a home run, and Fregosi wondering, well, what else is going to happen? That's 4 home runs hit by the Yankees today. Pasqua, Pagliarulo, Hasse, and now Washington, and if memory serves me correct, all on the first pitch. And there's a drive into right. Baines going back on this ball, and it's going to short hop the wall. So Mattingly, who already has a triple, now has a double. But of course, for Mattingly to have a double, that's not news.
And looked like an off-speed pitch. Could have been a curveball. It was in certainly a tough spot. It was a high curveball or a high off-speed pitch, and Mattingly just jumped it.
You know, Mattingly has 26 doubles. He has led the American League in doubles each of the last 2 years and will probably lead him again this year. What a hitter. The Yankees are just gone extra base wild. They have 7 hits, 6 of them for extra bases, 4 home runs, a double and a triple. And here is Mike Easler. Easler is 0 for 3. You know, Mike was traded. He's been around a long time. Mike was traded for 2 very famous players. At one time, John Tudor and, of course, Don Baylor. But he was also traded for some names I don't think will ring much of a bell. How about Mike Barlow, Ron Farkas, Randy Seeley, George Hill, and Martin Rivas? They were all involved in deals that involved Mike Easler. Fouled away.
How'd you like to be in a deal like that with those names and you be the player to be named later?
Yeah. Maybe they were all the player to be named later, for all I know. Well, the Yankees with a home run and a double here in the 8th, breezing 6-0. Easler will be followed by Ron Hasse. Fouled away. So you look at that Yankee lineup and you see those left-handed bats: Washington, Mattingly, Easley, Hasse. You understand why they are having their problems against left-handers. They're 10 and 17 against left-handers. It was a left-hander, Joel McCune, who kept them quiet for 4 innings today. And they'll see Floyd Bannister tomorrow.
Playing a game like this where everybody's getting extra base hit and you get a single, you feel good for the moment, and then you realize that you're really stopping the rally. It's like catching a small fish. You want to throw it back.
They've really given Chicago a bad time with the home run ball. 2-2. Of course, last night the Yankees had a well-pitched game, wound up with 1 run and lost 2-1 on the disputed hit by Cangelosi. 2-2 to Mike. So Nelson is really struggling. For a guy who has been allowing a lot of runs, he came in 13 earned runs allowed in 11 innings, and he's greeted by a home run and then a double.
Makes you wonder, too, Van, how important is batting practice. Neither club took batting practice because of the father-son game.
3-2. And he has walked him. So Gene Nelson is struggling to the extent that his manager is making his way out there. Dick Bosman, the pitching coach for the White Sox. We're not sure today, but Fregosi wanted his pitching coach to be in the bullpen and work with his pitchers down there.
That was one of the facets that Fregosi talked about. He said when he was at California, he said the pitching coach ran everything. He said, but now, leans on that 3.5 years in Louisville, we run it together.
He made a very simple statement just then to Gene Nelson. He just walked out and he said, get the ball down. That's all he said. And Nelson nodded, yes, sir. Let's see. Home run Washington, double to Mattingly, walk to Easler. And he's going to try and get the ball down to Ron Hasse. Of course, left-hand hitters are basically low ball hitters. Strike.
That was not down.
Like Hasse could crash his helmet for taking that pitch right down the pipe. 0-1. Slicing fly ball, that'll wind up in Nichols' glove, and Mattingly has to go back to second, and he slid first. 1 out. Normally, you could look at the Yankees and say their offense was as solid as Empire State Building, and their pitching as risky as a ride in the subway. Today, they've gotten it all. They've gotten a shutout from Rasmussen through 7. And they've gotten all kinds of hitting, including the 4 home runs, a double and a triple. But silence from Winfield. Grounded out, flied out, and lost a hit in the 3rd inning on the ball that was just touched by Cowley going by, and it took enough heat off it to let Hewlett make a good play. So Winfield on the outside looking in. He's 0 for 3 and hits it at Baines in right field, and he flags it. Mattingly tags and is on his way to 3rd. So Mattingly at 3rd. Easler had to hold it first, and with 2 out, Dan Pasqua the batter. Now I just noticed Joel Skinner gesturing over to Fregosi. He made the indication that you give for a fastball, like a hand that's going to fly. I don't know whether he's telling Fregosi that Nelson doesn't have a fastball, or maybe we should stay with the fastball, but he just sent his manager a message.
Well, that could also be to throw that ball through it. What should I do? Fregosi right now motioning to somebody. He wants Bonilla to hold him on. At least come in. Give him that much lead, he could walk to second base.
So 1st and 3rd, 2 out. The Yankees leading 6-0 here in the 8th inning, and some more paper to be retrieved.
Fregosi, when he was in Louisville and talking to him before the game, said for 140 games he called every pitch. So he's not immune to calling pitches.
Well, that's why I wondered about Skinner saying, should I stay with the fastball or what, that little pantomime. It had something to do with Nelson's stuff. Fastball whacked into right center. So the fastball's not working, that's for sure. Mattingly scores. Easler to 3rd. 7-0 in favor of the Yankees. It has become a non-game. And for Fregosi, a very long day in the hot sun. He said something about Pasqua breaking ball. That's part of what he just muttered. And Pasqua got a fastball and ripped it.
Well, I really think that motion was for the double steal kind of thing, because, as you mentioned, his fastball is just not a good fastball.
No. Here's Pagliarulo on a change. He's out in front of it. Good change.
See, he got Hassey on a curveball to left field. The fastball has been room service.
Mike Pagliarulo has come back, we're happy to say. Remember, he was hit by Kurt Young off the wrist, and then the ball caught him and broke his nose. And he was back in the lineup in 48 hours. He's a gutsy guy, Mike Pagliarulo. Easler at 3rd, Pasqua at 1st. There's a shot by a diving Tolleson into left field. In comes Easler. It is 8-0 Yankees. Stopping at 2nd was Pasqua, and they don't like it one bit here at Comiskey. Nelson just can't get an easy out, and Fregosi fit to be tied now. It's at that embarrassing stage for the young manager. Bill Dawley gets up in the White Sox pen. Meanwhile, Willie Randolph checks in at the plate. He's 0 for 3. Foul back. Easler is without a hit, but he does have a walk. Winfield is 0 for 4. Randolph 0 for 3, and Zuvella 0 for 3. Each man has had at least an at-bat where he hit the ball very hard, but at somebody. Pasqua and Pagliarulo taking their leads. Slow breaking ball fouled off.
Seems to be his only chance, because he's having one of those innings that you want to take a roll call, see if everybody's still there.
Pagliarulo at 1st, Pasqua at 2nd. 2 out, 8th inning, 3 runs over. Yankees 8, White Sox nothing. 1-2. So for Gene Nelson, the struggle continues. He was a 10-game winner, but he also lost 10 last year. He had a couple of saves.
pitch before that was a fastball. You can see he showed it to him, tried to get him with the curveball, and just missed. He's got to make it happen right here, 2-2.
Nelson was with the Yankees in 1981, but only briefly. He was originally drafted by Texas, and he was traded to the Yankees. He didn't stay around very long in 8 games. So it's not been easy for him at all. Gene Nelson. That strike. So Randolph can't believe it, but Willie is gone, and so is the inning. A 3-run 8, and at the end of 7½, Yankees 8, White Sox nothing. Tomorrow, Wimbledon 86, the men's singles final. Yvonne Lendl and Boris Becker. That's 9 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time, 8 a.m. Pacific Daylight Time. Boy, that should be a sensational finish to Strawberries and Cream. Wimbledon 86. The crowd is reacting. The attendance, 21,759.
In the World Cup, I was going to give you West Germany, and I'd take Argentina. You didn't go for it.
Right.
All right, tomorrow you want Lendl?
I'll take Becker.
Take Becker.
Yeah, I'll give you Lendl and a touchdown.
Lendl and a touchdown.
Yeah.
All right, I got it.
Meanwhile, Dennis Rasmussen has tucked away 7. He's leading 8-0. He has only faced 5 men above the minimum. In other words, in 7 innings, he's only faced 26 batters. So he has not worked too hard. He has walked 4, but he struck out 5 and allowed 3 hits. Skinner, Cangelosi, and Guillen. Foul back. Almost went into our treehouse. That's really what we have here at Comiskey. This is our little treehouse somebody built for us.
Urban renewal is what it is. They're going to have a fire and condemn it.
1 ball, 1 strike.
I think Mayor Washington could do anything about this.
He'll talk to the governor. 1-1.
Like broadcasting from a submarine.
You come here to work and you think you're Tom Sawyer or Huck Finn. This place should be in a tree. Really. I love it. Hey, 8-0 Yankees. A lot of people should be in a tree today, I'm sure, if they took a poll of this 21,000. Or hanging from one. 2 balls and 2 strikes to count. It is all New York. Skinner struck out, grounded out, 0 for 2. High fly ball into right center field. Washington trying to run it down, and does. They won't be hanging any Washington slept here signs today. Claudel has handled a couple, plus he has a single, a stolen base, and a home run. For a guy who hadn't played center field since 1978, he's doing quite a job.
He really is. He's covering a lot of ground.
I've had a lot of outfielders tell me, however, that in essence, center field is easier to play than left or right. And for one very good reason. When you're the center fielder looking in like this, you see the bat. Ouch. Oh, wow. Cangelosi sees stars hit by the pitch.
It hurts him. He's limping, but he's not going to rub it if he can help it. Yeah, it's starting to hurt a little bit more now.
Oh, yeah.
See, he's limping pretty good. He wasn't going to rub it at all. That got him.
Yeah, I don't know if he can continue. Yeah, you have
he got it, yeah. You don't like to rub to let that pitcher know that he hurt you, but sometimes you just can't help it. You got to give in.
Shin bone or the side of the knee, either area, there's no fat to cushion it. Take another look. Just about on the side of the left knee. No padding there. So Cangelosi at first with 1 out. Ozzie Guillen, the batter, double, fly to center and fouled out. High fly ball to right field. Winfield. You could put a D in the middle of his name and make it Windfield, and you'd have an idea of what's going on here today. Baines, the batter. Just to get back to that point, when you play center field, you're looking into home plate. You see the bat all the time because you're really looking at the hitter no matter what he does. When you play right field, you lose the bat for half the time with a left-hand hitter up there. You see his back. When you play left field, you lose the bat half the time with a right-hand batter. As you look in here, you can see, you'll always see the bat, and you'll see the ball coming off. That's why I've been told anyway.
Well, the really tough play for the center fielder is right at him.
Yeah.
Because he can tell it's slicing which way as soon as the ball is hit. Right at him is usually a knuckleball.
That's a perfect view. 0-1 the count to Harold Baines. Flied out, popped up, and struck out. The all-time Sox left-hand hitting home run hitter. He's got 129. The all-time Sox home run hitter was Bill Melton, who hit 154 in his career.
He's really a long way from the plate. Look at that.
Fouled away.
He's got to stride into that ball. I don't know if he can cover the plate. Obviously he can, or somebody would move him in there, but he is really a long way from the plate.
He just did get a piece of an outside strike, so that really indicated how far he was. That's not the perspective angle. That's a little better. Two down, 8th inning, 8-0 Yankees. Eight runs, 9 hits for the Yankees, including 4 home runs, a double and a triple. Dennis Rasmussen trying to win his 9th, trying to win his 4th straight. And Harold Baines strikes out to become strikeout number 6 for Dennis Rasmussen. And at the end of 8, Yankees 8, White Sox nothing. Well, in the background, they're playing some music from that wonderful Broadway hit, A Chorus Line. And Fregosi finds out that one of his high steppers can't make it. That would be John Cangelosi, who was hit on the side of the left knee by Dennis Rasmussen, and he will not make it for a curtain call. Cangelosi will come out, and he will give way to Steve Lyons, the former Red Sox player who is now here in the deal that sent Tom Seaver to Boston. In the 9th inning, Paul Zubella, Claudell Washington, and Don Mattingly. Zubella 0 for 3, hit the ball hard in the 5th inning, but he lined out. Slow roller to third. Wayne Tollison nails him. 1 away. That'll bring up Claudell Washington, who has had a big day in center field. There was a pretty good reason why Claudell didn't play any center field for the Atlanta Braves. That reason is called Dale Murphy, Murphy's Law. But he's done well in center today. Claudell single, stole second, legged a run home when Cowley missed first base in the 3rd inning, and for good measure hit a home run in the 8th inning. Fouled away.
And the first pitch was a slow curveball.
0-2 the count. If you weren't with us, Joe, making that point because the 4 Yankee home runs have come on first pitch fastballs. 0-2.
Can't believe they let that paper just blow like that and nobody picked it up. It'll only take 3 steps and they'd have it out of the way.
1-2. Drive to right field. Baines going back on the ball, and this one's going to be off the wall. Claudell's going for 2, and he's digging. He's got himself a double. So the Yankees come up with another extra base hit. 4 home runs, 2 doubles, and a triple. And for Claudell, he's had a single, a double, and a home run, all to the displeasure of Jim Fregosi. Boy, Gene Nelson is really being lathered.
Game like this, you have the luxury of guessing. If you were the hitter now, what would you guess for right now?
Not a fastball.
No, I would look for a slow curveball.
Yeah.
I really would.
Yeah.
If it's a fastball, I'd have to take it, but I'd look for a curveball.
Fastball hit foul off third, out of play. One reason Mattingly might have been a little late. Couldn't possibly believe he'd get another fastball. Mattingly struck out and flied to left, tripled off the center field fence in the 5th inning, and doubled off the right center field area in the 8th. Mattingly, a premier hitter, hitting .342.
What a play by Joel Skinner. He's put the glove down. You could hear it take that short hop into the glove. Overthrew this ball, and I mean it's way inside, and he just reached out. There it was.
1 ball, 1 strike. Curveball hit wide of first. Bonilla comes up with it, underhands to Nelson in time, and taking third is Washington. In the 9th inning, the Yankees breezing 8-0. Gene Nelson mopping up, and in a sense being mopped up in the process. Mike Easler and Ron Hassey coming up. The Yankees, I'm sure, know full well that the Red Sox lost today. That's deflected over towards Hewlett, who has to come back and makes a good play. Very tough, going one way and having to reverse. So the Yankees get a double and fail to score. And at the end of 8½, 8-0 New York. Kittle, Bonilla, and Hewlett coming up. We're going to the bottom of the 9th inning, and Chicago is really in dire straits right now. Not only are they buried 8-0, you have to realize that the White Sox score 3 runs or less a good 40% of the time. So they are not the kind of a ball club you would expect to come up with a miracle 9th inning. But we'll see. It'll be Kittle, Bonilla, and Hewlett for Dennis Rasmussen, trying for his first complete game shutout. And for a pitcher for the Yankees or the White Sox to go the distance in a game is really news. Kittle going after that high fastball, only this time it was inside. Look at this. The Yankees had only 5 complete games, the Sox 4 going into the game. Kittle hadn't hit the ball. He hadn't fouled a ball.
One. Last time up, he fouled off the
Wow. He'd just been swinging it empty. 0-2. In the 2nd inning, struck out in the 4th, struck out in the 6th.
He usually has big glasses on. I wonder if he's got contacts.
Fouled away. Understand he is wearing contacts. Usually when a player tries to experiment with normal glasses, the stem and the frame seem to distract him. Oh, the slow breaking ball. He strikes out for the 3rd time, and the Wolves take all their frustrations out on Kittle. 7 strikeouts for Dennis Rasmussen. The Major League Baseball game of the week has been brought to you by Miller Lite. For great taste, there's only one light beer. By Honda Scooters. Wasn't it fun? By Kemper and the independent insurance agents who represent us. For all of your insurance needs, ride with Kemper. And by Mr. Goodwrench. No one knows your GM car better than Mr. Goodwrench. No one. Bobby Bonilla popped up, grounded out, fouled out, 0 for 3. The Sox had a double by Guillen in the 1st inning, a single by Tolleson in the 3rd inning, and a single by Reed Nichols in the 7th, and that's it. Slow curveball for a strike. Oh, what a pitch.
He's dropping that in now. Oh, 8-0 and slow curveball. That's obscene.
Yeah, 1-2. And shortens up on the curve. 2-2 as he bounces it, and another paper coming across.
And the umpire picks it up again.
But there's a pretty good sizable piece blowing in from the 3rd base foul line.
Let's see if a player will pick it up this time. Will he pick up the paper, or will he hire someone to pick it up?
Ignore it. That reminds me of a great true quote. Foul back. There was a golf tournament I was doing a couple of years ago. Tom Watson was playing, right? And there was a huge wind that hit the golf course, and one of the porta-johns blew over on the hole that Watson was playing. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Chopper back to the mound. Rasmussen has it. That's that. Anyway, after the round, Watson said, boy, it was something. I was out there playing, and the porta-john blew over, and I was really worried that there might somebody in there. And they said, what'd you do? He said, I sent my caddy over there. The executive producer of NBC Sports is Michael Weissman. The coordinating producer for NBC Baseball, Harry Coyle. The telecast of today's Game of the Week, produced by John J. Filippelli, directed by Andy Rosenberg, pregame produced by Les Dennis, pregame directed by Joe Michaels, and technical directors Jim Marshall and Sal Nagita. 2 down, 8-0 Yankees in the 9th. Foul back. And right into our treehouse. Well, that a way to go, Huck Finn.
Yeah, here it is right here.
Yeah, there it is, for the record. Isn't that a beauty?
I'll put it to my ear, see if there's a heartbeat.
0-2. Look out. Wow.
1-1.
So now they're zeroing in on the treehouse.
Man, they're coming back here like rockets.
High fly ball to center field, and Washington, ironically, he's going to catch it to make the last out. 7 strikeouts. Dennis Rasmussen, breezing, retired the last 5 in a row, pitched a 3-hitter, and George Steinbrenner sits there and gets himself a belated birthday gift. He didn't get one last night, but he got it today. For the Yankees, the first complete game shutout of the year, and it goes to Dennis Rasmussen, whose record is 9-2, 2-0 lifetime against the Sox. We'll be back. 4 home runs, 2 doubles, and a triple for the Yankees, and a shutout from Rasmussen. And this week's NBC Miller Lite Player of the Game is Dennis Rasmussen. Miller Lite happy to present a check for $1,000 in the name of Dennis Rasmussen to the National Multiple Sclerosis Society. So the Yankees make a big dent on the White Sox. Now they're going to have to solve left-hander Floyd Bannister tomorrow. We'll be back for a few more. The Yankees are 7 games back of the Boston Red Sox. Today was the second game of a string of 30 games against the American League West. They are 10 games above 500 against Western Division teams. They could be beginning a move.
Oh, they could be beginning to move, certainly. There's a lot of time. You're going to look and hope you get some help, but there's a lot of time left. The season is far from over.
When you look at them and you see them get 4 home runs, a triple, and 2 doubles, and then realize Guidry and Joe Niekro on the DL along with Tommy John, if they start to get well and come back, they are indeed in good shape.
And they did this without Henderson and very little from Winfield.
Well, we'd like to remind you tomorrow, NBC Sports, 9 a.m., Wimbledon in the men's final. For Joe Garagiola, Vin Scully.